Calpac's an online school where you're able to open your horizons and do the things that you like while also schooling.
I would describe it as the best online school ever.
Today we're going on whale watching. I'm very excited because I've never seen whales before.
A well-rounded education, especially in high school, gives the student the opportunity to decide what they want to do.
It's something for me to learn, the marine life, and since I'm trying to study for animals, this is like an opportunity for me to learn more about the animals.
It allows for opportunities to get out of your comfort zone and learn something that maybe you didn't know before, and have fun while doing so.
What I enjoyed the most about this field trip was just seeing the dolphins and also interacting with the students on this boat. Because I know a lot of people say that online school you don't really get to socialize, but that's not true.
I always thought I would never get into a college, but with Calpac, they made me believe in myself that I could go to a college, I could get my dream. I give it all to Calpac.
Awesome. Hey everyone, this is Dallan, host of the Charter School Connection podcast. I'm really excited for another episode. Today our guest is Superintendent Christine Feher from California Pacific Charter Schools. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So the first question that we always ask is just how did you personally and specifically get involved in the charter school space? Could you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure. So I actually started as a school counselor, and I finished my school counseling program in 2008, right when they were laying off all of the school counselors that they had hired in 2006 and 2007. And so there were not a lot of job opportunities. And lo and behold, I got a job at an online charter school. And my intention was just to do this job for as short a period of time as possible until I could kind of get back to regular school. And I never left the sector. I've been here for, I think this is my 16th or 17th year, something like that.
Wow, that's awesome. So cool. And how long have you been at California Pacific Charter Schools?
So 1 year less than that. So I started at a different charter school. They kind of overhired and I got laid off, and then I got picked up here, and the rest is history. I've been here for, I think this is my 16th year at Calpac.
Wow, that is so cool. And so 16 years is a long place to be anywhere, but especially in the charter school space where it's relatively new. What have you seen in regards to the charter school landscape, but also the online virtual school landscape over the past 16 years that you've been at Calpac?
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes overall. Many of them are good, actually. I'll start with charter school landscape. To your point, 25 years ago, when charter schools started to open, they really didn't know what they were in for. It was just this place of innovation. It was like, hey, make something new, be innovative, be the Silicon Valley of schools. And so big ideas reigned, but there wasn't a lot of, there was less oversight and control. So, as the politics have sort of moved, there's been more regulation around charter schools, some of which is fine. As a charter school administrator, I welcome the opportunity to have more accountability, to show that we are in many ways very similar to traditional schools and districts, but in some ways we're not. And that allows us to provide that personalized and individualized approach to student learning that I believe is really essential. On the online side of things, that has really evolved over the last 15 years as well, right? Yeah. So our options 15 years ago, I think I had like 3 curriculum choices and they all pretty much looked the same. And it didn't really matter which one you picked. And there really wasn't anything in elementary school. We actually started as a 6th through 12th grade because there really wasn't online curriculum for elementary school. fast forward, and now we have all of these integrations. We use, a digital curriculum. We pair it with Google Classroom. Our teachers are doing innovative things. We're teaching live in Zoom. We are, on the frontier of AI in education and adding AI to student experience. So there's been a ton of evolution in technology, but also in teachers understanding how to bring technology to allow students to have a very robust learning experience at home or from anywhere.
I love that. Well, I wish that we had more time because I have more questions than we do time. But let's start here. Specifically, what makes California Pacific charter schools not better, but just unique and different from other charter school options, but even other online virtual school options in the area?
Yeah, we like to say that we're a more connected online school. We've really leaned into student engagement live with a teacher, and that's online. But we really believe that the same thing that's true about in-person classroom instruction is that the teacher is the difference maker. And we believe that that is true with online education as well. And so we really pride ourselves in having a lot of student and teacher live interaction. We have classes all day long, different grade levels, different subjects. We even recently added American Sign Language. So we have students learning American Sign Language online.
That's so cool.
Which is really cool. Yeah. So we have, I believe it's our teachers. I really do. I think our teachers are incredible, passionate educators, and they've found a way to make online education super engaging and relevant. They have really great connections. I think one of the things we know about education is that the more connected a student feels with their school and their community, the higher their academic achievement is. And we are able, despite great geographic distance, to still forge those relationships that make students feel connected to their school community.
That's awesome. What advice would you give to maybe a virtual school who's struggling with hiring the right teachers that will be able to bring that energy to the virtual classroom? Do you have any tips to find the right fits?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate. I think post-COVID, it's way easier to find great teachers who can teach online. 100% of teachers who were in the workforce during 2020 to 2022 worked virtually. And so 10 years ago, it was harder to find teachers who had a passion for teaching online. But I would say post-COVID, there's been an explosion in teachers who actually found it to be more engaging or easier to teach online. Not everybody, in the same way that not every student is meant to learn online, not every teacher is meant to teach online. But there's more teachers who've had experience teaching online who are like, wow, I actually can really do this and I can do it well. So in our interview process, we ask teachers to teach a lesson. I think it's important to see teachers teach online as part of your interview process. But more than anything, I look for teachers who love kids, who are passionate about building student relationships. If you're not, if you just want to get online and teach, but you don't really want to get to know your students, you're not going to be a powerful educator. And so we look for teachers who are interested in getting to know their students, getting to know their interests, and connecting education to their interests.
I love that. Very, very cool. And we've heard that tip quite a bit, is looking for people that just love kids. And so it's coming from multiple charter school administrators from across the country. It's got to have a lot of power to it. What could you share in regards to recruiting students and being able to market your school across California? How do you get in front of the people that are in need of an education model like yours?
Well, when people are looking for online education, they usually look online. So we need to have an online presence. We've really invested in telling our story visually. We know that we're sort of in that TikTok age where if you don't
Mhm.
have a visual story, you don't have a story to tell. So we've engaged with just trying to capture in quick video clips the essence of our story and who we are, making sure our website really tells the story of who we are. And I've really actually noticed a change in the kinds of students that are coming to CalPAC. I think we're telling our story better, and the types of students who are coming here who are looking for an engaging experience online, who are looking to connect. 10 years ago, it was all credit recovery students who were just looking to get a diploma because traditional school wasn't working out. Now we have families who are choosing online education as their first option because they want this robust educational experience, but they want the flexibility to be together as a family more, or to pursue their options, their activities that they're interested in. Like if you play hockey, guess what? The hockey rinks are available during school hours. Or, we had a tennis player, Maxie Duncan, who's at Harvard now. And so she was able to have a really rigorous online education and have a really aggressive training schedule, and do both. And so, I think, like I said, back to student recruitment, I think it's just telling your story and making sure that you show who is successful at your school, and it will naturally attract other students who look like that.
I love that. I couldn't agree with you more. And so you've been at California Pacific Charter Schools for 16 years. What do you see is the next step at your school? What's coming down the line? What's down the road? How are you pushing for more innovation, or I don't know, guess just what's the next step for your school?
Yeah, we're really leaning into just improving academic achievement. A lot of students come to CalPAC or to online schools because traditional school's not working. So maybe they've had some time out of school, maybe they've had some learning loss, or maybe their district or school just wasn't meeting their specific needs. So a lot of students come to us not meeting grade level requirements. So we are really leaning into increasing intervention, increasing a personalized plan for every student to catch students up to grade level and then even accelerate them beyond.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're really focusing, I would say, on intervention, student achievement, meeting the needs of all students. And we've been fairly successful. We've had a couple years of some good growth, and we're not necessarily beating state averages, but we're making significant growth and progress, especially with our student groups, underserved populations. We are really seeing growth with our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, with our Hispanic Latinx population. And I'm proud to say that our students with disabilities population, by and large, is exceeding the state averages for that specific group. So we do a great job serving our most at-need students.
That's awesome. I mean, especially in today's landscape where some people are concerned about their students with disabilities. I have a close friend of mine whose son with autism was able to learn thanks to certain programs that she's concerned about now that are maybe going to see some future challenges on the political landscape, which kind of leads me to ask you the question, what would you like to see in your state and across the country in regards to initiatives, political or non-political? What do you have for us there?
Well, there's a lot going on politically right now. Obviously, federally, there's some threats to, federal funding, and I'm hopeful that that will sort of work itself out. I won't linger at the national political landscape, but I'll focus instead on California politics. There has been an increasing targeting of charter schools by the California legislature. It's been sort of a cyclical trend, I would say, in charter school landscape over the last 20 years. there's just some political opposition to charter schools. And ultimately, it affects the ability for students and parents to have a little bit of choice, right? If your local school district or your local programming isn't working, parents need to have a public school alternative to support their students' learning. And, I would say as long as charter schools are following the mandates, showing that their audits are appropriate, showing that we are meeting the educational standards, that testing, etc. AB 1505 really raised the bar in terms of outcomes for charter schools in order to get renewed. So there's been a ratcheting up of expectations of charter schools, not all of which are bad, right? I'm happy to have a high bar. I love a high bar. I'd love to exceed that high bar. I'm not talking about lowering the bar, but I'm talking about inequitable funding, right? When you start talking about, oh, if you're at an online charter school, the state is only going to fund that charter school at 70, 85% because they don't have a building. There's some real inequities there. And given that we serve a high population of historically underserved students, there's a very inequitable, there's an inequitable, it's just not a great situation. So it's negatively impacting our highest risk students here in the state of California. And we already know California is not, we're not hitting any ceilings in the, in the national or international education landscape. So, to have policies that negatively impact our highest risk students, that's a real problem.
Understood. Well, thank you for sharing that. My last question that I really want to make sure that we get to is what resources, ideas, thoughts, books, audio, podcasts, conferences, just any resource that you have found really helpful in being the best you and developing your school to be the best that it could be. Do you have any resources or tools that you would like to share with us that our charter school administrators could enjoy as well?
Yeah, sure. I lean heavily into our charter school resources. CCSA, CSDC, those are great. Those are great places. I'm actually on the extended board for the California Consortium for Independent Study. So that's a great resource for independent study schools. That's not all charter schools, but charter schools that offer independent study, whether it's short-term or long-term, and actually districts too. It's one of the only I'm not trying to say clubs, but organizations that sort of serves both district and charter, as long as you have independent study. So I love that about that organization. Also, AXA, they do, great training for administrators of any kind. I find all of their trainings and resources to be pretty robust. And I think all administrators should belong to AXA and should go to their conferences, or they also have like 10-month-long classes, so to speak, and you're in a class with other administrators. I've done several of those. It's a big time commitment, but you get a lot out of it.
Awesome. And could you just spell that out for AXA?
Yeah, it's the Association of California School Administrators.
Awesome. I will make sure to include that into the show notes so that people can go and check that out. Well, yeah, awesome. Christine, thank you so much. Anything else before we wrap up today?
No, it's just, it's a pleasure to be a part of the charter school community. Love what you're doing here with the podcast, and hope to see some of my charter friends out there next week at CCSA.
Awesome. Well, Christine, thank you so much for your time, and we're really excited to share this with our audience.